Yeah, I think we had a discussion this morning during film as well, where I just praised her for being a leader through being herself. I think Claudia came in not speaking very well English, not making herself always as understandable. So she had to find a way to be leading this team, because I think ever since she came in, she had the burden of getting the job to be leading a team, a very young team and an experienced team, and she really had to find a way to doing it. And I think she was leading by example, and I think that's probably very often the most powerful way to be leading. Not knowing the language, not being able to express yourself each and every time on and off the pitch. So I think she's a great professional, and I said it after the game of Bay. I said it the week before and the week before, being 35-year-old and being able to do what she's doing right now, reaching personal records each and every week. It's just showing the environment, if it's a 15, 16, 17-year-old, if it's 25-year-old, that it's just within everyone's capability to be pushing limits. And I think that's definitely something she learned, and she's teaching us still every day. And I think the one thing she just asked me is like, look, I want to play as much as I can for the next four games. I just want to show everyone what I'm still capable of. So I think that's also something we're going to give back to her.
When you think about moments that she's played for the club, what stand out for Claudia?
It's hard to say. I think when it comes to free kick goals, I think she had a few in very, very important moments for us. She maybe not always scored the first one, but I remember her hitting the crossbar for a Mina tap in. So I think she really had good moments when it comes to decision making. But again, if you look at the pass she gives to Paige a few weeks ago, that's just her understanding of the game. I think we're talking about it with front office as well. Like, how do you replace Claudia? You almost need 2 or 3 players to be just replacing one single element of what she does. If it's being comfortable on the ball, that's one. If it's just being the left-footed part in the build-up, that's really comfortable in tight space. I remember that last week she gave a sort of a no-look ball to Kale in the build-up. And I think that's that sort of courage, that sort of ability that a player that we need to have on the midfield. We want to be a building team. We want to build out from the back. So we need players that are so comfortable on the ball like Claudia is. So I think it's going to be quite the job to replace her.
Is it amazing to see how she's able to do this at her advanced age?
Yeah, it is, and it's. I think she admitted herself. She has to rely on all the experiences she had in the past. It's not like you can come in from a league and you use whatever you learn in that league. It's playing for Madrid, but it's also playing for the teams prior to playing for Madrid. But what I mean by that is Madrid was dominant against pretty much every team except for the Barcelona in the league, and she was coming from teams that were less possession based, that were really struggling, that had to find a way to win games, and then you go and win a Euros. So I think she really was able to bring in all the different parts of her experience to what we do and really translate it into what does this league need from me. And I think that's the most amazing part, that at the end of her career, at the last 4 to 5 months, she was actually also able to, not only from a football point of view, adapt to this league, but just from a physical point of view, she's delivering high numbers. And I think that's just incredible that she found her pace in the league, and she's actually, at certain moments in the game, she's just outpacing opponents. And I think that's pretty amazing.
I did want to ask you about, I feel like backup goalkeeper is probably the hardest job to have in this league. It's a hard position just because the nature of the position and lack of subs and all of that. But did Mia, in some ways, maybe kind of validate your guys' decision to go and get her as a rookie and bring her in? And I'm sure you had to preach a lot of patience with her because who she's got in front of her and everything. But did she kind of validate sort of some of the things that you saw, I guess, in terms of what her trajectory and her potential could be in this league?
Yeah, I think the last word you said is potential. I think potential is huge with Mia. It's just we have to find a way to unlock it. And obviously, as a goalkeeper, you need to be in those situations where you have to give the kickoff of a game, which was against Bay was a disaster, her kickoff. But like, how do you translate that coming back into the game? How do you translate that small setback at the very first second of a game? Because I can only imagine you're starting a game and actually now it's a planned game. It's not like someone else is injured. You're actually allowed to start a game, and that's your first touch on the ball. And I think 25 seconds later she's on the ground after a collision with Kate, and I think after the first goal I just called her to me and I said, like, look, the only thing you got to do is trust your feet because you're amazing. And she was like looking at me. I'm not sure she understood what I was even saying, that much in panic she was. But then after 15 minutes she really grew into the game and was being decisive. She was playing the good balls in the back. We had to outplay the first line of pressure, so we did know for a fact that this would be a really interesting game for her. It's not like we're looking at Bay and we went like, oh, Bay is going to be, I don't know, an easy game, no pressure. No, we knew for a fact it's going to be a pressing line of 5. So we have to outplay the first line of pressure. So the role of the goalkeeper is going to be crucial. But I think Mia has been proving on the training pitch that she's capable of being a number one, of becoming a number one. We just have to unlock how, and I think the how is getting her minutes on a regular basis. And I think she's been really unlucky when it comes to friendly games. She's been injured for the San Diego game. She's been injured in preseason. During the international break, she was injured, so we weren't really able to put her in the right position to be playing friendly. So then we just made the choice to be putting her in an NWSL game. And a first shutout, I think that's amazing save as well. But just after 15 minutes, very composed, and that's what I liked about her performance.
And then during this run of form that this team, that these players were on, coaches like to talk about things like grit and X-Dog is the one that we joke around with Pablo about, and some of those kind of internal qualities. What's the buy-in on this team? And like from the first choice starters all the way to like being on the bench and that kind of thing. What's kind of their buy-in been like to where it seems like you guys are getting results with even at times a lot of different or a number of different faces?
Yeah, no. I think it's contributions over credits, and that's something we've been really working on. I think, again, it's not only Claudia beating her best performances, but I think it was 2 weeks ago that Tejada broke her personal records by outperforming herself by 35%. You have Bianco's coming in, and she's been a sub, and she subs in at 150% of her intensity. So we really have the buy-in of everyone to be like, look, here's what we got to do. And I think prior to the game as well, I just highlighted like, no matter what happens today, it's the how. The how is so important to us, and we really want to be building a true style of play, a true foundation of what we want to do the upcoming years. And this is going to be us the upcoming years. This is not something we do for the remainder 4 games or the last 11 games of the season. This is us next season. From the very first game on, we'll be front-footed, we'll be pressing, we'll be in everyone's face. And actually everyone that just comes into this building needs to understand, like, look, this is who we are and these are the demands. And if you don't fit it, that's fine, but then you just go out. That's just how we want to be operating. I think it's a very hard way of talking sometimes, but you do see, like, if you install that structure, you install that culture, players that are coming off the bench are actually over-delivering because they know for a fact, like, this is going to get me into the team. So I'm going to give it another more 40% because I know that might be getting me closer to the team. So I just think that's a culture part of it. Like, if you look at practice today, it's a +3 first re-entry day. This was all in. Nobody was hiding themselves. Everyone's going, and that's what we need with this team as well.
You're coming off of in a form of like an unbeaten streak. What's the plan to finish the season, and are you planning to continue, with the unbeaten streak for the rest of the season?
Yeah, I think the streak is a result of a structure and a way of playing. I think what we're focusing on again is like how we get in this streak. And against Bay, I think it was a very uncomfortable first 15 minutes. Again, I think we could have conceded 1 or 2 maybe, not like bright open chances, maybe except for the very first one. But I think we were very messy in the first 15 minutes, but you scored 2 goals out of nowhere. And I think if you then look at how we started playing, we just showed them, I think, 4 or 5 build phases that were actually really, really nice. And I think if you look at the whole analysis of the first 60 minutes, I think should have been 4-5-0 maybe. Could have been, definitely. I think that's our next phase, and I think that's what we're focusing on more than how do we win the next game. We're just putting together the pieces and making sure that we're moving forward and we're moving into the direction that we need the team to be moving forward in. And I think, again, analysis today was not on how we beat Bay or what we did during Bay. It's more like, what do we have to get better at? What are the pieces that we worked on? How did we do? And then we made an introduction of what we want to be doing this week. But I said the same last week. The topic of this week has been decided upon beginning of June, somewhere end of June. So nothing has changed. We're having a brilliant streak. That's all nice, but we're still looking at what we did in June in terms of planning to be executing this week. So it doesn't really matter who we're playing against. We're really focusing on ourselves during the week.
Speaking of that, and first half of the season was a little bit of a struggle for you guys, and now you guys going in this streak. What kind of change, or is the team just playing like they just click all together finally?
Yeah, I think you're expressing it quite nicely. It was not a bit of a struggle, it was a huge struggle, and it was definitely against all expectations. For me as a coach as well, I think there was a lot of stress. I think moving into the season, you go and you wanna hit that top 8, but you don't really figure out what you have to be doing, and you're always focused with like the end point of the season. I think what we really did is we stripped down and we went like, okay, week to week. I think that's one, and think 2, it's really the non-negotiables. I think prior to the July break, we were accepting some behaviors on the pitch that we all knew weren't 100% what we needed, but because they were done by some players, sometimes you get away with it. And I think that's the one thing we said, like, look, these are the non-negotiables. You either fit in or like you're not in the building anymore. And I think that's been really important to us as a staff, but also to the players, because I see players just turning around to others and like being able to voice what they should be doing, in what way, in what intensity. That's just huge to us. I think right now we have about 24 trainings coaches on the pitch, which just helps. And even in games like we had this week, and you see players picking it up for each other. I remember 2 or 3 situations in the game where Chloe gets outplayed by the right fullback. She takes some space, and it's Chloe shouting at Poe like, "You stay put. I'm tracking back. I'm covering this space for you, and I'll make sure you get back in a comfortable position." So it's also just the willingness of players that have really increased. And I also think we cannot deny that we started the season with 4 players, or without 4 players that are starting the games right now. I think that's huge to us as well. Just recovering those players, not only from a game perspective, but Mia is a perfect example of someone that's been putting pressure on the number 1 each and every single day, and now she's getting the reward. And I think it's the toughest position to give someone some minutes. But it's just the example of how we operate at the minute. Like, if you're always performing, you always make it hard to the number 1, there will be a point in the season where you will be rewarded. And I think that's what we're really working on. And again, I see a lot of people really working really hard, and I think that's just our value. That's what we need to be doing, and that's what it takes to be able to say contributions over credits.